And how the view2 got loaded? So if you give /second view, so now the view2 got loaded. How this view2 got loaded? Because the pattern second view is calling the target view2, and this target view2 is loading the view name view2. Okay, so as a result you are getting the view2 here, isn't it? So similarly, your fragment is also a view, correct? Your fragment is also a view. That also should be loaded. If the file is not loaded, its content obviously will not get loaded. This particular dialog code and the table code you have written inside this file. Just like in a view1, we have written simple form, we have written table. So all these things got loaded because my view got loaded. Getting my point, guys? Making sense? The contents of a view gets loaded only when, first of all, your view should get loaded. Once your view get loaded, then automatically the content of the view, the content of your entire web page, like simple form or tables, lists, whatever you have written, all of them will get loaded. Okay. So similarly here, you have written a dialog, you have written a table, but if you want them to load, first of all, your fragment should get loaded. Your fragment should get loaded. So views are getting loaded through a routing concept. Your views getting loaded through the routing concept. The router will pick the view from the view folder and load them into the view container. So that is fine. But how a fragment file will get loaded? The fragments will get loaded then and there itself by using a statement called sap.ui.xml fragment. So all of you observe, guys, I am removing this statement. Now when you click on this F4help button, what I am doing, I will load the fragments. sap.ui.xml fragment. Now this particular sap.ui.xml fragment statement will load a fragment. It has the capacity to load any fragment. Okay. For that you need to pass 3 parameters. The first one is a ID for the fragment. So recommendation is to get the view ID, this dot get view dot get ID, and give the same ID as a fragment ID. So what I did, I get the view ID. So whatever the view ID is there, the same view ID I am passing as a fragment ID. So I successfully, first parameter is the ID for the fragment, and the recommendation is to give the view ID as a fragment ID. So I am giving the same. Okay. Second parameter, the path of the fragment. So where is this fragment available? It is available in the view folder within the web app folder. So copy your web app folder dot view folder dot emp id F4help. So this is the path of the fragment. This is the second parameter. This is the second parameter. So com.demo, this is the web app folder. Dot view means view folder. And inside the view, this is the name of the fragment, empid F4help. So empid F4help. And last parameter must be this, and this indicates the controller of the fragment. So this means view1 controller is the controller for this fragment. Okay, right. So let me write the syntax of this. sap.ui.xml fragment is a statement to load the fragments. So it takes 3 parameters. First one is ID of the fragment. Second one is path of the fragment. Path of the fragment. and last one is controller of the fragment. So I hope you understand the syntax now. So ID of the fragment, normally whatever the view ID is there, same ID we will give here. Okay. So path of the fragment, we have given the path, and controller of this fragment is this. This means a view1 controller should act like a controller for this particular fragment also. Fragment means view only. Okay. Small piece of view is called fragment. Okay. So is this not small piece of the view? Yes. This is also a small piece of view. All right. So let me remove this. Now, whenever a fragment is loaded by using this sap.ui.xml fragment statement, then it returns the outermost UI element that is present inside it. So what is the outermost UI element that is present here? Dialog. So it returns the dialog to you. So I am saving, so variable dialog dialog equals to fragment. Okay. So sap.ui.xml fragment is a statement to load your fragment, and once the fragment is loaded, remember it returns the outermost UI element. So what is the outermost UI element? Dialog. So I am saving that in a variable. Now I can write my dialog.open. Dialog.open. Okay. Right. Now let's see whether it opens or not. Dialog.open. So I'm clicking this button and you can see the dialog has opened. Dialog has opened, but where is the data? The data is not getting loaded. So why the data is not getting loaded? Let us understand. Okay. So whenever a fragment is loaded in a view, you need to make this particular dialog or fragment as a dependent of the view. So you need to write one statement called this.getView dot add dependent. So for the view, this.getView, so for the view we are adding our dialog as a dependent. If you don't make your dialog as a dependent of the view, then the bindings, so whatever the bindings that are present here, they don't work. So you need to make your fragment as a dependent of the view. Remember, this is an interview question as well. So whenever a fragment is loaded, and if you are trying to open that particular dialog, the dialog will open, but the data inside the table will not get loaded. The reason is the dialog has to be made as a dependent of the view, because it is getting open in that view only, right? It is getting open on top of the view. So the dialog is depending on the view. So you need to make your dialog as a dependent of the view. Okay. The dialog is depending on the view. Where it is getting open? It is getting open on top of the view. So that means it is depending on the view, right? So you need to make this particular statement, this.getView.add dependent, and your dialog. Now let us see. Now click on this. Now it is loading the data. Okay. So the dialog height and width you can decrease or increase, guys, by using two properties. So for the dialog there is a content height and content width is there. So height you no need to worry. Content width you can give some 65%, something like that. Okay. Now the dialog will not be too much width, so it will occupy only 65% of the entire view. See. This is the dialog width. Okay. All right. So now the dialog has opened, but there is no close button for the dialog. There is no close button for the dialog. So we need to add the close button for the dialog. So let me add a close button for the dialog. So how to add a close button for the dialog? The dialog has a separate one more subpart called end button. Now within this end button, so end button is a subpart. So this inside this subpart automatically a footer kind of thing will be created. So let me create a button first and then we'll show you. So type equal to reject. So just for a red color button and press equal to on close dialog. Okay. Now let us see whether this close button will appear or not. All right. So I click on this. Now I can see the close button as well. But if I close the button, let us see if the dialog gets closed or not. I click on close. Is it getting closed? No, it is not getting closed. Why it is not getting closed? Because on press of this close button, I have not written any logic. When you have not written any logic, how can you expect it to get closed? Right? So on press of this particular button, I have assigned a function on close dialog. So I need to write the logic inside this function. Okay, on close dialog. All right. So by the way, whether you observed or not, the subpart end button. So when I have given the subpart end button and a button inside, automatically you might have seen a footer kind of thing got created here. See? So this is a footer kind of thing which automatically gets created and this button is placed at the end of it. So that is why this is called end button. Okay. All right. Now there is a challenge here, and the challenge is how can I close the dialog? If I have to close the dialog, I need the dialog variable. But the dialog variable is present in the upper function. I want the same dialog variable here in the below function. Getting my point? To close the dialog, I need to write dialog.close. Like this, I need to write. Dialog.close, I need to write. But the problem here is this particular dialog variable is declared in the above function, not in the below function. Okay. Any variable that is declared by using the var statement that exists, its lifetime exists only within the function. Outside the function it will die. So that means here the dialog has no meaning. But here the dialog has a proper meaning, and that is it is pointing to the original dialog. Okay. So let us see if this get closed or not. So I opened it. I am closing it. It is not getting closed. So if you hit F12 and if you see the error, it is clearly saying that dialog is not defined. It is saying dialog is not defined. And where is the error? It is coming. The error is present in view1 controller at the line number 62. So this is how you can check for the errors as well. You need to go to console area, and in the console the errors will be available. Okay. So I hope you understand the error, the meaning of the error. The meaning of the error is you are using the same variable, but this variable is declared in the above function, not in the below function. So how to tackle this kind of situation? So in JavaScript, there are two ways of declaring a variable. In JavaScript, there are two ways of declaring a variable. Let me write down here. Two ways of declaring a variable. One second. So first way is by using the where statement. Okay, so the first way is by using where statement. But the problem with the where statement you already seen. So what is the problem with the where statement? If you declare any variable by using where statement, that particular variable will alive only within that function. Outside the function, the variable will die. So that is the reason in the console it is giving the error saying that dialog is not defined. I don't know what is dialog. It is saying I don't know what is dialog. Okay. But to close the dialog, I need the same variable. I can't use some other variable. I need to point out to the same dialog and then close it. So for these kind of scenarios, we use the second way of declaration, and the second way of declaration is by using this dot variable name. Okay. So if you define any variable by using this dot, those variables are called as controller variables. These are called controller variables. And these variables can be used in any function within the controller. What I'm going to do, so instead of where statement, I will use this dot. The moment you use this dot and the variable name, this particular dialog becomes a controller variable. Controller variable is a variable that is accessible within the controller, anywhere within the controller, in any function within the controller. Okay. So wherever you are using dialog, use this dot dialog. This means controller only, right? So we made this as a controller variable. So now instead of dialog.close, you write this dot dialog.close. Now let us see if the dialog gets closed or not. So let me click here. So it has opened. Now I am closing it. So it has closed. Okay. So successfully we have solved the scenario, solved this issue. But there is one more issue. So what is that issue? Let us see. So it is getting open and it is getting closed. Fine. So but let me try giving ID within this particular. So I'm trying to give some ID for this dialog, or I'm trying to give some ID for the table. So ID equal to ID table. Okay. Now let us see what is the issue that we will get. So click this. So it has opened. Fine. Close it. So again try to click this. Is it open? No, it has not opened. Click it. Is it opening? No, it is not opening. So why this is not opening the moment I give the ID? The moment I give the ID, why it is not opening? Previously when I didn't give the ID, it has opened fine. But the moment you give the ID, it will not open. Now let us try to understand this issue as well by going to the console area. Let us try to see what is the error it is giving. Okay. So if you go to the top or anywhere the issue is there, anywhere it is, you can read this issue. Adding the element with a duplicate ID, and it is saying the table ID. So ID table is the ID that I have given for the table, and it is saying duplicate ID issue. So basically what is the issue? The issue is with the duplicate ID. So why this duplicate ID issue has come? First of all, you need to understand that whenever you are clicking this button, this particular function gets executed. Will you agree with me? This function gets executed. Now if you go and recall what exactly you have written inside the function, you are loading the fragment from this particular path. Okay, so first time you are loading the fragment from this path, that is fine. You made that as a dependent, you opened the dialog. Whenever I click on the button, second time also I am clicking the button, what is happening? Again the same fragment getting loaded again. So like this, the same file when it is loading multiple times, okay, same view, same file getting loaded multiple times, the moment it has the ID, okay, for example, there is a table. So if can I add the same table with the same ID again? No. See, I'm trying to add a table. So with the ID table. The moment I add the table, is it not giving the error? See, select a unique ID, the current ID table. ID has already been used. Okay, so basically this is what exactly happening. It is loading the fragment for the second time, third time, fourth time. Every time you click on the button, every time you clicking on this F4help button, what it is doing? It is loading this particular fragment. First time it has loaded with the table ID as ID table, fine. Second time also it has loaded with the same ID, no, I won't accept. Okay, and moreover, loading the same fragment again and again, that is also performance issue. You should not load any file more than once. Do you know your views will load only once, they don't load multiple times. Once a resource, so this view one loaded from backend to the front end, that's all. It won't load again and again from backend to the front end, only one time. Always remember a resource. Resource means any file will be loaded only once from backend to the front end, means from SAP gateway system to this one, only once. After that it won't get loaded. It's already there in the front end. So it just open, that's all. But what you are doing, since this particular statement is present inside this function, the moment you click on the F4help button, every time it is loading the fragment again and again and again. So what we need to do, what we exactly need to do to control this, this statement should get executed only once, my dear friends. The statement should get executed only once and it should not get executed from the second time. So what we can do is, we can keep this particular statement inside a if condition. If I will say this dot dialog, for example, so if you declare any variable like this dot abcd, for example, so it gives undefined. So if this dot dialog, this dot dialog, it is a variable. So when the variable is not pointing to anything, so if it is, it will be undefined, right? If my variable is equal to undefined, means it does not contain anything. Okay, so at that time only I will load the dialog and I will make the dialog as a dependent of the view. I no need to make the dependent of the view again and again. So one time is enough. And I will open the dialog. Now second time you click on the F4help, second time when you click on this F4help, so by the time this particular dialog, this dot dialog is already pointing to the dialog UI element. It is already pointing to this dialog UI element, right? So it is no more undefined. So this if condition will fail. Second time when you click on the F4help button, so this if condition will fail, so automatically it opens the dialog. So dialog is already loaded, so it simply opens the dialog. We are not loading it again and again. Only one time we are loading and that's all. Now let us see if this solves our problem. So click on this, data has opened, close it. Again click on this, see the dialog has opened, close it. Again click on this, dialog has opened, close it. So any number of times I can open and close, and moreover this is very fast because the dialog is already loaded and you are opening the same dialog that was already loaded. Okay, So this is how we need to write the code to make your fragment loaded only once. Okay, guys, actually I no need to first write that code and show the error, then resolve by using the variable this dot, okay, and then again show one more error, that is duplicate ID error, and then keep this in the if condition. So generally trainers will directly keep this if condition and keep it like this, and they will say that this is how a dialog should be loaded. It should be loaded only once like that, and they will close it. I want you to understand the issues and why we have kept this if condition, why this variable is not declared as var, why this variable is declared as this. So all this concept I want you to understand, and that's the reason. So initially I have written a piece of code, shown the error, and then so we have gone step by step. Okay, all right. So now this is perfect, this is fine. Now let's see the climax of this story. Now the climax of this story is the moment you select any record, so from the record you need to get the employee ID and close this pop-up dialog and set this value to the input field. So this is the climax of the story. But here, first of all, your rows are not yet enabled for the selection. See, when I'm keeping the mouse on the row, I'm not getting a hand symbol. I'm not getting any hand symbol. See, for example, when I'm selecting Amit, I'm getting a hand symbol. So basically the hand symbol indicates that you can select a row. The hand symbol indicates you can select a row. But am I getting a hand symbol here? No, I'm not getting a hand symbol. This is mouse pointer. So remember, the mouse pointer, if it is there, that means your row is not selectable. Okay. But when I click on that, you are getting this highlighter. That is highlighter. That is just a highlighter. Highlighter you will get for anything. So even if I click here, for anything you will get a highlighter. Okay. This is highlighter. Whatever. See, this is highlighter. This is highlighter. See, button. So that is highlighter. Highlighter is different from row selection. So some people think like the moment I press this row, I am getting this blue color rectangle. So that means you have selected the row. No, that is just highlighter. That's all. So wherever you press, you get this highlighter. Okay. So I am telling you, right? This is also a highlighter, right? See, Amit. Did I selected it? No. If it is selection, the radio button. So this is called selection. This is called selection. If the radio button is filled, that is called selection. But whatever the round thing that you can see, that is highlighter. So don't worry about the highlighter. Okay, fine. So now the rows of this table are not enabled for the selection. If they are enabled with the selection, you should get a hand symbol. I'm not getting hand symbol. So the first thing is we need to make our rows of the table as selectable. Okay. So how can I make the rows of the table as selectable? So go to the table, go to the row of the table. So this is the row of the table, and this particular row has a property called type, and you need to write active. So type equal to active makes your rows active for selection. Now let us see if I get a hand symbol or not. Right, see, I'm getting a hand symbol now. The hand symbol indicates that, boss, you can select a row. The hand symbol indicate you can select these rows like this, okay. Now the next thing is selecting a row is an action. Okay, so pressing this row or selecting this row is an action. So we will assign a function to that action, and in that action we will read this employee ID and set that employee ID to this input field. So for the row there is an action called press, means when you press the row. So let me write on press row. So we'll go to the controller and write the function on press row. Okay. So this particular function will be will get one input parameter called O event. So I'll tell you what is this O event. So this O event is there to help you, don't worry. So let us write the code directly within the debug mode. Okay, I'm going to write the code within debug mode. So I repeat this O event once again for your convenience. So this particular press action while calling the function on press row, okay, so this press action while calling this function, it will send one input parameter to this particular function. So that input parameter name is O event. So this O event is there to help you, okay, not to trouble you, don't worry. So how it helps you, let us see. So I'm going to the sources. I'm going to keep a debug point at the ending bracket. Okay, now let us click it. Now I am selecting a row. So for example, I am selecting the row called Anil. I selected. So the moment I selected the row, the on press row function has get executed. Okay. Now basically what I want this 100002. So what is 100002? It is an employee ID from the selected row. Will you agree with me? It is employee ID from the selected row. So if I have to get this 100002, first of all I should know out of the 3 rows which row he has selected. Right? There might be 10 rows, there might be 100 rows, there might be 1000 rows. So within this function I should know what is the row he clicked. What is the row he pressed? How should I know? So this is where the O event parameter will help you. So O event dot get source function gives you the row that you clicked. It gives you the row that you clicked. See, O event dot get source giving me in the table you pressed the row with the index 1. So index 1 means this is 0, this is 1. Okay, so if you want I will show you once again. Let's continue. Now let me click on the third row. Third row means index 0, 1, 2, right? So click it and let us see O event dot get source again. Now it is saying from the table you pressed the row with the index 2. So with the index 2 means it is the third row. So index 2 means third row obviously. Index 0 is first row, index 1 is second row, index 2 is third row, isn't it? Okay. So O event dot get source has given me the row. Okay. Now for this particular row the data got binded. Okay. For this particular row, not only this row, for every row the data got binded. Now I want to get the data that got binded to this particular row. So how can I get it? I can get it by writing get me the binding context dot. So get binding context gives the entire data of the row, but I want only employee ID. So I will say get property employee ID. So this gives me only the employee ID from the selected row. Okay, so let me explain the statement once again. O event dot get source gives the row that you pressed. Now in that row, whatever the data that was binded to this row, I want that data. So you need to say get binding context. So what is get binding context? Get binding context is a function on the row of the table. On the row of the table. Okay, so which gives the data that is binded to that row, only to that row. Now out of that entire data, what I want only employee ID. So you mention I want only employee ID by saying that get me the property employee ID value. So you got 100003. Now copy this particular statement. Control C, Control V. So now you got the employee ID. So once you got the employee ID, my dear friends, the next thing you need to do is set this employee ID to the input field. So you need to set it here. So go to the view. This is your employee ID input field. So you need to set it here. So this dot get view dot by ID. So you can remove this get view also, it works. Okay. So SAP initially we used to write this dot get view by ID, but SAP you want to make this a little short. So even this by ID also works. So this by ID is equal to this dot get view by ID dot set value. So I'm setting this employee ID to the input field as a value. Set value employee ID, and then close the pop-up. I don't need the pop-up, so close the pop-up. That's it. This is the climax of the story. So now let us see if this works. So with this, we have successfully completed the value help dialog. So let us click. So you got the employees. I'm selecting Anil. So I don't need any debug point anymore. And you can see Anil's employee ID. So select it. Amit. Select it. Babji 100003. Okay. Got it, guys? So whatever I am selecting, you are getting the same employee ID. So this is called the FIORI help functionality. So I hope you understand. There are some turns and twists in this concept, but this is what exactly it is. Okay. So wherever there is a dialog requirement, in all those places you use fragments. Okay. The main purpose of the fragments is reusability. Means, so if you want the same FIORI help again in second view, for example, so at that time you no need to write any separate code. So since this fragment is already containing the dialog and the table, everything, so it is enough you load that directly. So you load it, that's all. Wherever you need, you just load this particular fragment. Okay. So let's say you want the same employee ID FIORI help in second view. Yeah, you can just load this fragment, because the fragment already contains the FIORI help dialog of employee ID, so you can reuse it also. Okay. So if you have any questions, you can ask me, guys. Otherwise, you can leave for today.
Rizwan, in the actual project, we see that there is an option to search also.
Yeah, search also we can keep it here. Yes, we can keep this one. But since I still didn't, we haven't come to that filtering and sorting place, so that's the reason I didn't. Okay. Yeah. So once we come there, we'll come here and keep the filter functionality. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah.
So how to pass the filter to the backend, all these things is the next class.
Yeah, Rizwan, this is like a similar kind what we have in elementary search help in ABAP, right?
Yeah.
And can we change this collection?
Also, you have the same FIORI help, right?
Yes.
Even when you're creating data dictionary also, so there also when you are using the predefined data types, so there also you have the same FIORI help kind of thing. Okay, so fine then. If you do not have any questions, we'll meet in tomorrow's class with our next topic. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.